First of all, I'd like to welcome ISA to our city. I thank you for having your conference here in our wonderful city. This is a great convention city, and we promote it. We make sure we're glad you're here, from the airport, from the train, to driving in throughout our city. We're very, very proud of our city. But most importantly, we're proud of the leadership in our city and the planting and caring of urban trees. I've always believed in growing up in a city that nature can coexist in an urban environment. And when you look at our wonderful city with the lake and our river and our wonderful parks and our wonderful medians and parkways, we can build off of this in the downtown area. And so nature can coexist in a city like ours, which has heavy manufacturing, industrialization, it has high-rises, and its communities all over that we can coexist, heavy railroads and mass transit. So everybody asks me, what do you believe in when we talk about the environment? You have to really educate, first of all, the public. It means economic future of your city. And secondly, it's their responsibility. And thirdly, the city has to lead, government has to lead by example. America's tired of government lecturing to everyone and not doing what they're supposed to do. They tell you what to do, but they exempt themselves. And so when we talk about the environment, the city has led by example. From the airport, all the way from the CTA to our highway system, to our parkway system, to the lake and to the river. Every building that we build, everything that we do in construction, we think of the environment. All the laws that we pass, we think it has to apply to us first, then the private sector. Then you know it's going to work. Otherwise, you're mandating everything to the private sector, many, many court challenges, and there wasn't a reason why you put the law into effect. You'll find out later on that the person left and just did it, and it has no reason why they put these laws into effect. So we say open space and beautiful parks and clean beaches and streets and alleys, bike trails, jogging paths, flowers, of course, the trees, grass, clean and pure water is all part of this great environment that we have here in the city of Chicago. So what we've done is we've taken a number of undertakings in regards to the environment. The first thing is to take responsibility as a city and then go to the hotels and go to all the business and say, you have a responsibility. Then you go to the homeowners, their front yard, their backyard, where they live in their community. They have a responsibility. It isn't government that has total responsibility. It's the people who have responsibility about the environment. And we can lead, and we lead by example. So how do we basically deal with this whole environment? So we came together with a Chicago plan. We brought the businesses forward, all the governments forward, federal, state, and government. Of course, you have to drag the federal government, you know that, into anything. Dragging the federal government to ask them to be part of the answer, not part of the problem, or exempt themselves. We asked the state government, the county government, local governments all come together, and non-for-profits, from universities to other research people in regards to the environment. And everyone sat for about 2 years in giving discussions in regards to the environment and coming up with a very comprehensive and detailed strategy to help lower greenhouse gas emissions and, of course, address climate change throughout the city and the metropolitan area. Other cities have set similar goals, but our Chicago Climate Action Plan is the first to both identify emission sources and the impacts of climate change and propose ideas that specifically respond to the research that was presented in our action plan. Aggressively pursue green infrastructure throughout the city to keep clean stormwater out of sewers, to reduce urban heat islands' impact. And this is very, very important. You have to educate engineers, architects, contractors, subcontractors, yes, and even the city workforce in regards to that. An example of the cooperation received is from McCormick Place and Navy Pier. We built a 3,000-foot tunnel at McCormick Place Convention Center to carry clean rainwater from the roof to Lake Michigan. This will keep approximately 55 million gallons of rainwater out of our sewer system. Also taking the lead among cities, we lead the effort of green roofs. We now have over 600 green roofs completed or underway, totaling more than 7 million square feet. We are creating TIF districts. When you visit the downtown area, we are creating a tax increment financing district for older historical buildings, which are not in use. So what are you going to do with them? If you don't basically invest money in their air conditioning, heating, windows, dealing with the environment, very few tenants will move into these buildings. So that is an effort looking at all the buildings, really from 80 all the way back that have been built here in the city of Chicago, to truly retrofit them, yes, with their money and the city money and others in regards to conforming to what the tenants want in these buildings. Since I became mayor, we have planted over 600,000 trees. We have landscaped more than 90 miles of medians on major streets. We've added more than 200 or more new parks and green space throughout the city. All the Chicago public schools had all concrete or asphalt on them. We have created over 100 campus parks in every public school. We're creating more park and open space in and around a public school to make it conform to the community and not just be isolated from the community. Our climate action plan, we outlined to plant more trees, take care of our existing trees, and of course expand our tree canopy. And one of the biggest challenges is that we have our engineers. If you look at a city, most of your street lights are 80, 90 feet in the air. And of course, it takes time for a tree to grow. And my position is to lower 90-some% of all these street lights so we have a canopy over the streets in our city. Otherwise, you're spending a fortune of repairing and trimming trees at a cost that is unbelievable here in our city. And that is one infrastructure that we're looking at very closely throughout the city of Chicago. We rely off of many volunteers. We rely off of non-for-profits and people to give money into the city to plant more and more trees. We think it's vitally important. In and around schools, we plant trees for each grade and watch them and have them take care of their trees in and around their schools. There has to be ownership in a city. It just can't be the government doing the job. It has to be the citizen. It has to be the school. It has to be the business taking ownership in government in regards to landscaping and the environment in and around them. An example, anytime you come into a city, you fly into a city, you look at the landscaping there. You look at the landscaping coming into a city through interstate highways. And that's very, very important. If it's well landscaped, basically, there's very, very few debris in and along that area if you look at it. And you can do studies on it in the city. We have worked very closely with the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development and local non-for-profits to deal with ex-offenders that we basically train into working into the environment is very, very important. Many of them who have come out of prison want to change their way of life, so we work very closely with them in regards to many of the training programs dealing with the landscaping, upkeeping, and maintenance, as well as the cleanliness of our city. And it's very, very important. Here in our city, we basically train them to plant trees and to take care of the trees here in the city of Chicago, which has a huge effect, social effect, as well as an environmental effect upon all of us. The idea of the Tree Initiative website we have here in the city of Chicago, to have people take a personal responsibility dealing with trees in and around their home, in their community. It isn't just a city. it's the citizens that we have to educate. And that is from the public school system, that is from the businesses and homeowners, block clubs, and community organizations. But I firmly believe that the city has to lead the way. Here's an example when you walk into Navy Pier. If you look at the environment they've done with landscaping, the appreciation of the lake, and what they've accomplished. Every public building that we see, we try to do that continually to bring responsibility into our city. And that's the only way the city can respond. It isn't one part of the city. It has to be every part of a city. It doesn't matter where you live, where you come from, there has to be responsibility given to the citizen. I welcome you to our great city. We have a city that's very committed to the Great Lakes and St. Lawrence Seaway. All the mayors from Canada, the United States, and St. Lawrence Seaway work very closely with us to protect all of our rivers and, of course, protect the Great Lakes and our basin going north and the basin going south. So it's very important for two nations. It's one of the largest fresh body of water in the world. It has a huge effect. I'm a mayor when it rains. I'm happy when it rains. I'm happy when the sun shines. It helps truly environment. And to me, I'm just honored to be here and thank your association for your professional commitment in educating the citizens and public officials around the country. Thank you very much and welcome. Thank you, Steve.